Is under fire for a Facebook post saying hood culture won't be tolerated. Chief Dennis Borges made the comment after weekend altercations threatening to shut down businesses that don't maintain order. And the man claiming to be Jay-Z's son has dropped his paternity lawsuit but says the fight is not over. Ramir Satterwhite says he withdrew the case due to things behind closed doors and accuses Jay-Z of using fame to dodge a DNA test. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
New schools for New Orleans, along with New Orleans Public Schools and the Cowell Institute, are excited to announce the launch of a new digital tool on the data dashboard. New Orleans Public Schools, 20 years later, a timeline of recovery, transformation, and growth. The tool provides data, information, and context on the past 20 years of K-12 education in New Orleans, the changes that occurred, and the outcomes these changes helped produce. Visit nolapublicsschools.com/K20 to view the tool and learn more.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, New Orleans.
It's Tuesday, the day that comes after Monday, and we are here. Last night, I had the pleasure of my mic again. Oh my God, what is it better? Okay. So did they hear me? Did they hear me say Happy Tuesday? Welcome to the Good Morning Show. I am your host, Dr. Ashanta Wise. Shout out to my super producer, Naira Sanders. They heard all of that.
Good morning.
And my co-host, Will Sutton. All right. It is Tuesday, and I had the pleasure of hosting. I don't know if I'm going to say hosting because Step Up hosted it, but I had the pleasure of moderating the Council D political forum last night at the TEP Center. And it was my first time at the TEP Center. I was like in awe of the building itself. It's a nice beautiful facility over there. And there's some wonderful things going on over there. It is, listen, I was in awe. I was walking, reading the quotes on the wall. There were a number of installations in terms of art. I guess those were donor names on the walls. It's a beautiful place. And my intentions are to go back there when my son is going to come home again before he goes back to school. I think we're going to just go by and just look through it and read everything on the wall, because that's what I was doing the whole time. It was just really, really nice. It's a nice, very, very nice facility. But I do know, because of the Big Ugly Bill and all of the cuts to some funding, that they are too struggling like many other entities, and they may need your help over there. I do know that they're hosting a number of events, so just kind of try to stay tapped into what is going on at the TEP Center, especially if you're an educator, because there are some wonderful things happening around educators, and I believe it's an ongoing opportunity for partnerships with the TEP Center for teachers to come in and look around the building, engage with other educators, and just be in community. So reach out to the folk over there at the TEP Center on St. Claude for more information there. But as it relates to the Council D forum, we do know that there are 3 contenders, including the incumbent current councilman Eugene Green, the challenger Leilani Hino, and challenger Belden Batiste. Mm-hmm. All 3 of them were in attendance. Will Sutton has an update on the 4th potential candidate, and we'll talk more about that after I give you the little rundown.
Yeah, let's hear about last night
on the forum.
The people who are qualified to run.
The people who qualified to run were there. There were 3 of them, including the incumbent. And shout out to Step Up as an organization for ensuring that there are opportunities for you to hear directly from those who are vying for your vote in the October 11th election. It was attended by a number of people. It wasn't as full as the mayoral forum, but again, there are less candidates as well too. So, but it was a really well put together forum. All of the candidates showed up. They were on time. They answered the questions. It got a little bit contentious at times, but I was the moderator, and we were able to keep things flowing. But I didn't expect, to be quite honest, for that level of like
Engagement.
contention to be there, because I prepared myself for it, for the sheriff's
Of course.
forum,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
happening tonight at Blessed Trinity Church on Broad. And the doors open at 5. The forum will start at 5:30. I've prepared myself for that because there's been a lot going on as it relates to the sheriff race, but I did not on any level think that what I saw happen last night was going to happen. But
So was there a particular question or comment
listen,
that sparked it
it
and
was
kind of set it off?
Here's the thing: I don't mind if candidates are jarring with each other. It's
Yeah.
it's par for the course. What I try to make certain of is that whether you're an audience member or you're a candidate, there won't be any disrespect going in that direction, because voters, though passionate, sometimes their question might not be as appropriate to the forum that they're attending, but they don't know per se if you're the right council person for the question they're asking. They're just asking a question because you're vying for a council seat. And I just want that to be clear. As a voter, we don't always know a boundary where the 7th ward stops and where another ward picks up. We may not know that. But if I ever have an opportunity to exchange or have discourse with a councilman and I have an issue, I'm going to raise my issue. It is up to you to then tell me, well, I appreciate you coming to me with this. This may not be something that I can touch directly, but I know who to put you in contact with. Or let me call your current council person or the folk who are running for that seat and get you that information. But I think sometimes because there's so much passion as it relates to an election, both constituents and folk who are vying for office, sometimes people can feel an attack that's not meant or warranted as an attack. It's a question. And I think it's par for the course when you're a public-facing individual to be able to answer questions to the best of your ability. And if you can't, then you find the person who can. And I think that's what this is all about. And it was a little sticky there for a moment, but again, I did my best to ensure that both parties felt respected. But we also have to be mindful that putting yourself up for public service is not easy. It's hard.
It's not.
You are opening yourself up to immense criticism, you and your family, to be honest. So it's not hard. But when you have the ability to have served already, then you understand that it's par for the course. It comes with the territory. And we have to be mindful that we have to prepare ourselves for that. And so, again, we were able to get through the questions. All of the candidates answer questions. I don't give my opinion one way or the other because I'm a moderator. What I will say is I do my best to keep the order and decorum to the best of my ability. And so I also want to be respected in that light. It's not easy to moderate.
So nobody was hurt except for maybe their feelings.
Nobody was hurt. And I mean, feelings, I don't think that there's like a meter for that. So you just got to put your feelings in your pocket. But what I'm saying is when you offer yourself up for public service, questions will come that might not always feel good. And they may be off base in terms of the seat you're running for. But there's a way to address it that doesn't warrant like vitriol between citizenry and those who are running for public office, and vice versa. The folk who are running for public office owe it to the citizenry to also be respectful. That's all we're saying. You can answer the questions in a respectful way, but when candidates are taking their jabs, I don't see anything wrong with it, because the same way you get the mic, your opponent will get the mic and the candidates will address it. But when it's coming from candidates to the citizenry or citizenry to the candidate, then I'm going to regulate that. Because we're not going to do that. But if in my open I take a shot at you, and you're open, if you want to use your time taking a shot at me, that's on you. But your minute is your minute. Use it very wisely, and I'm gonna stop it after the minute. And so There were times where the candidates were like, I wish I could respond to that. And my answer was very simple. This is not a debate. It's a forum. If it were set up like a debate, then yes, you can say what you want, Will Sutton. And then when my turn come, I can respond to that. But that's not how it was set up. It's not a debate. It's a forum. And the forums are there so that the citizenry can learn about your platform and what you plan to do to move the city of New Orleans forward and whatever role that looks like. But as a council, we have to be very mindful that, yes, we are running for a particular seat, but you are also a part of a body that y'all make collective decisions. And so if my question doesn't necessarily align with District D and it's more a District E solution, I can still address it in a way that feels like I honored, your space and your question. And
not my district, but I'm part of the body.
Not my district, but I'm a part of the body that makes decisions. And if I don't have a direct answer for you, I can assure you that I'll have my office reach out to that office and we'll email you or we'll follow up to ensure that your answer, or your concern gets addressed. But to make me feel like my question doesn't hold value or is not significant because I may be wrong boundary-wise, I think that's something that all of the candidates have to start to think about because folk are coming with issues, and I don't think it matters what boundary or what ward or what district. They just want their issue heard and somebody to feel like they're addressing it. I mean, that's just what it is. I have an issue right now, and it has nothing to do with the councilman that I called, but I called that councilman because I know that councilman is going to pick up and address it.
Sometimes that's what works.
That's it. I'm just being honest.
I knew you respond to me.
Yes.
You treat me.
Yes.
Like I should be treated.
The thing,
and
it's not that the council person who the district is for wouldn't answer. I just knew that there were situations happening, and I wanted to respect the situation that was going on. And to give that person the space to deal with that. But in the interim, not only did the councilman try to address it, but he also sent me that council person's number and said, make certain that you follow up. That's all I want, because it's not even my issue. It's somebody from the community called me. I'm not even a council person, but I know who's gonna pick up if I call.
Right.
And I just want somebody to hear it and for it to be addressed so I can follow up with that person and say, look, I spoke to the council person. They're going to do X, Y, and Z. I'm going to follow up when I get a response.
So this sounds like something as we move forward that candidates should keep in mind as they participate
because
in forums, in particular candidates, but also community members who, you got a pothole, your street light out.
Yeah.
You just want somebody to pay attention to it.
And sometimes you may not say it in the best way because you feel like it's been going on for so long, and you've asked this person and you've asked that person, you've emailed. And so when you finally can get to interface with one of them, it might come off with a little heat on it. But at the same time, I think if we take into consideration that folks just want services to work, that's it. That's all they want. I don't, I say it very, very often. I only ran for office one time, did not win the seat. And it was it was a real lesson. So I know that it is not easy to put yourself out there. It's not easy to answer questions on the fly. It's not easy, to talk to all of these different people and all of these different personalities. But at the end of the day, you're not going to make everybody happy. And everybody, for whatever reason, is not going to embrace you with the warmth that you feel like you deserve. But at the same time, nobody that ever earns an office won 100% of the voting populace. So somebody wanted somebody else at some point. But if you earn a seat, you're also representing people who did not necessarily vote for you. Right. That's just the way it goes. And so moving forward, as we continue to attend these forums, as I continue to moderate these forums, all I want folk to understand is we're going to be respectful. There is going to be a level of decorum because it's a very serious matter. This is, to me, one of the biggest elections, and elections have consequences. And so we need to make certain that we're allowing candidates to have the space to tell us who they are and to engage with us in terms of their platform so that we can make the best informed decision for ourselves.
Well, shout out to the people who did show up.
Yeah.
Because that shows another level of interest and care for this city.
Yeah.
We all know people who have some complaints and want to complain about everything and everybody and shouldn't have done this and that, but they're not asking the question that should be asked about, so who's responsible for this? What can I do? Yeah. What can we do? And at a forum like that, I think you get some of those answers, even if you're not the one to ask the question.
Well, Step Up also said in full transparency that they were anticipating the arrival of the fourth candidate, which was Kevin Griffin Clark.
Okay.
He even had a name tag printed out because they were hoping to hear from him as it relates to the appeal to the Supreme Court. But you have an update about that.
Yeah, I talked to Mr. Griffin Clark and last night, and the update is that structurally he has that opportunity to appeal the judge's decision denying him candidacy based on disqualification. But he has the opportunity to appeal to the Louisiana State Supreme Court. He told me last night that for personal reasons, he's decided not to make that appeal. He doesn't agree with the judge's decision, but he made a decision to let it go. I don't want to get into some of the other things, but let me just say you can go to his Instagram page and you can see very clearly how he's feeling about why he's no longer a candidate.
Well, some of our listeners don't have access to his Instagram page.
What he said.
What is he saying that is the issue?
He's saying it's a political hatchet job that he was going after to deliberately get him out of the race. He was disqualified based on not keeping up with taxes in the 5 years prior, which, as you know, you need to be up to date in the 5 years.
I also know that part of his argument is that he hired a professional to assess his taxes because he ran into this issue previous. So my question would be, who's the onus on if I pay a professional to prepare my taxes and my taxes have been prepared in such a way that meets or satisfies the state in terms of filing, then how is it that the opposition who opposed his candidacy was able to get a document from the state saying at least 2 years of those taxes had not been filed? That's my question.
Right. And he says that he vetted his CPA, and he's confident that everything that was done to be up to date with the filing was up to date, but that the government has indicated that there was something else to do, but that he was never notified about that. So
I understand that stance, but what I'm asking is if I had this issue as he's expressed that because he's had this issue in the previous election, he ensured that he hired a professional to assess his taxes. If he hires this professional to assess his taxes and this person did so and had him believing that he satisfied the criteria for the state, how is it that the state presented the opposition with a document saying these 2 years were not filed at all? That is my question.
Right.
Because, again, if I'm going to pay you to do a service and I have my documents where I paid you to do my service, because I'm certain I didn't go to the court case or anything, but I'm certain if he hired this professional, he brought those documents to court to show where he hired this person. This person said his taxes were satisfied. What is the ruling of the court? The court said what he was presenting to them was insufficient because they still ruled against him. So I want to know if he provided them with the documentation, how is it that they ruled against him? And if he provided them with the documentation, how is it that the state is saying that these 2 years were not submitted or filed at all? Those are my questions.
Yeah,
because we can say it's a political attack, but because two things can be true. Mm-hmm. It's a political attack, but it's a political attack with the document from the state saying the taxes were not filed. Mm-hmm. The attack wouldn't hold water if you can show me by way of the person you hired to prepare your taxes that they filed those 2 years.
Yes.
So did they or did they not file those years for you? And if you paid them to do so, then what is the recourse for him if I paid you to do a service and you have a license? Because if you're a certified
Public accountant.
you have a license that can be in peril if I'm paying you to do a service and you don't deliver. So to me, I want to know what that looks like.
Right.
Because if I did it and you dropped the ball, then that's a problem. If I did it and you did it and the state is saying it's not here, then where is the disconnect? Because I could be attacking you politically, but if I don't have a receipt to attack you, then the attack is null and void. What gave the attack weight is the fact that there was a document that said this year and this year were not filed at all. So those are my questions. How do we get to not filing at all if I hired a tax professional to ensure that when I get ready to run, I'm good?
Mm-hmm.
So
I get it.
Still some confusion there.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's your update.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so look, we got to go to break,
know.
but we have more updates because there's been another update in terms of the sanitation contract. And this one is a doozy, y'all, because what we felt like was going to happen that we've been kind of talking about where two people could possibly take the streets of New Orleans at the same time. Well, listen, we'll give you the update right here. Y'all keep listening. We're going to keep talking about it. Pop, please don't go anywhere. You know I miss you and I want to hear from you. I'm going to catch you on the other side of the break. This is WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat. Jeezy has been making hit songs for over 2 decades, with collaborations with high-profile acts like Jay-Z, DJ Khaled, Drake, and more. But the hip-hop game has changed a lot since he first started rapping. And Jeezy talked to me about how today it's really easy to release a song that immediately reaches a massive audience.
You can make a record in 3 minutes if you like. But the caveat is you can upload that record right there in your bedroom and reach millions of people. It would have took me millions of dollars to reach millions of people.
Jeezy compared the rapid evolution of music tech to advances in the kitchen.
You know, when I came up, we was on top of the skillet, and then there was a microwave, and now there's the air fryer.
And while he's a fan of a lot of new artists, he does warn that quality could suffer from being able to cook up a hit so fast.
When you don't put as much into something, you can't expect it to be there that long.
I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Lowe's knows big savings make a big difference, especially when you're shopping for appliances. Hurry in to get up to 30% off select major appliances. Plus, My Lowe's Rewards members get free delivery, free haul away, free installation and parts on purchases of $2,500 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 7/30. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Price, delivery time, and vehicle availability may vary based on order size and location. Exclusions apply. See Lowes.com/delivery for more details.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
Big year. I'm starting middle school.
Welcome to the jungle, Missy.
Best part? My parents promised me a new laptop.
Perfect for homework, essays, and drudgery.
So we went to Staples. They had all the latest tech, and laptops were up to 40% off.
Woo! Another back-to-school budget saved by Staples Easy Button.
Mom high-fived the cashier. So embarrassing.
Staples.
That was easy.
In-store, online, and on the app. In 23 select models only.
Hey, this is D. Riley from the 90s Hits R&B Jams. Make sure you listen to WBOK 1230 AM every Saturday night from 7 until 9 p.m. I'll be giving you the best R&B jams from the 90s. That's right, all your favorites and more. With me, D. Riley, your host of the 90s Hits, right here on WBOK 1230 AM. Or listen online at WBOK1230.com. WBOK, the station you listen to longer.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month by the community scientists at Rise St. James. This month we spotlight phthalates, chemicals added to plastics, especially PVC, to make them more flexible and durable. But there's more. Research shows phthalates may disrupt hormones, affect reproductive health, and contribute to environmental pollution impacting our communities. Join us as we explore how these additives shape our everyday lives and the world around us. For more details, visit risestjames.org. Empower your knowledge with Rise.
Feeling stuck in your job?
Dreaming of something more? It only takes one step to change everything. With the Urban League of Louisiana's Skill Up Louisiana, you can train for high-paying careers in wind, solar, hydrogen energy, automotive, cybersecurity, AI, and more. This isn't a job, it's your future. A new career starts with one step. Your future is waiting. Visit urbanleaguela.org/apprenticeships to learn more and apply today.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
To the Good Morning Show. It's Tuesday. We're here. You're listening. If you're just joining us, we were talking about an update to the
Council District
the
D.
potential appeal of a disqualified candidate in the Council District D race. And Will Sutton had the opportunity to talk directly to candidate Kevin Griffin Clark as it related to the judge upholding his disqualification. But he did have one last pathway to the state Supreme Court. And based on your conversation, Will, you're saying that he's opted not to pursue
that appeal.
That appeal lane for personal reasons is what he said to you. He also espoused some belief via his social media that this is a political attack on his campaign. And again, the issue that was raised before the break, if you missed it, was that Mr. Griffin Clark is saying that he hired a CPA, a professional, to prepare his taxes because he's run into this issue during a prior election cycle whereby his taxes were in question. And he did not want that to happen again this time, so he hired a professional. Somehow, even in doing that, he was still challenged based on the non-filing of at least 2 years of his taxes. And my commentary, it was just very simple. If I hire a professional, this professional is assuring me that my taxes are complete. I want to understand how then was the opposition able to get a filing from the state that identified at least 2 of those years had not been filed. And what was the CPA's rationale from the purview of Mr. Griffin Clark to leave those 2 years unfiled? What was the rationale for that? Because to me, shouldn't there be some document saying I didn't need to because I didn't meet a certain financial obligation to have filed taxes, or I filed them? Because I mean, the burden is not to pay them, it's just to have them filed, correct?
I'll confess.
You'll confess?
I will.
What's your confession?
There have been years where I did not file, and not by days or weeks. But I communicated with the state and the IRS about my situation, and I received something back and said, "This is what you're going to have to do." I think that's what you're saying. If you know you're supposed to do something and you don't do it, can't do it, that you have some kind of documentation that says, "I've been in touch with you. This is what I understand."
But I think his argument is that he got a professional to do that.
Right.
So my question is, what did this person communicate to the state, or what did they turn in for the state to have Mr. Griffin Clark feel like his issue was resolved on his end?
Right.
But then you're saying that it's a political attack. If the political attack has no weight, meaning there's no document that they can use to attack you, then the attack is null and void. But because your CPA, whoever you hired, something about those 2 years, there's no documentation to support that you did everything that you were supposed to do. That is what I'm saying. And if I pay a person for a service, I want the fruits of that service to be in my possession so that I can show this is what I did to ensure that I don't run into this issue again. So did you pay this person and they didn't deliver, or did you pay them and they just did not do what they were supposed to do to protect you? Either way, the onus on it is still going to be on the candidate, because when you go and fill out this paperwork, you're attesting to the fact that you've satisfied these requirements. And so it's a tough one, but at the very minimum, if I knew that I wanted to run and I ran into this issue prior, I'm going to call the state directly and say, I have the intent on running. Can you tell me if my taxes have been satisfied? Because I ran into this issue prior. Can you send me something that I can have that if I'm challenged, I can present to say, I've done my due diligence here? That would be my question to Mr. Griffin Clark. Did your CPA not do that on your behalf? So that's where we were with the conversation. So you're all caught up if you missed the conversation. We're also going to bring you the update as it relates to the sanitation contract in the French Quarter. But right now,
the daily developments.
The daily developments. I feel like there's an update every single day. But we have Pop Jones on the line. Good morning, Pop. Welcome to the Good Morning
Show. Thank you very much.
No, you're welcome. How you doing?
Y'all got my head spinning like a top.
Is it?
How you doing, Dr. Wise?
I'm great.
Good morning. Good morning.
I don't even know where to start.
So,
did you get my information, Dr.
I did.
Wise?
I just need some clarifying information so that if I'm going to announce it for you, it's the right GoFundMe. Can you tell me the name of the deceased so that we can have the whole name?
Deceased is Ida Odom.
Oden?
Yeah, I think that's the way it's spelled.
So is she Ida Bell?
Ida Bell, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
We
Ida
call
Bell.
her Ida, but it's Ida Bell, yeah, it is correct.
And did she pass away on July 14th?
Yes, I think that's what it was.
And was she a member of Mount Sinai Baptist Church?
Mount Sinai, that's where we had the service.
I just wanted to make sure I had the right person because it says professional arrangements
that is the
are
right
entrusted
person.
to Mara Henderson Funeral Home on Tesh.
Right. That is correct.
Okay.
Dr. Wise.
Okay, so her name is Ida Bell Lewis Oden, Oden.
Odom, right, exactly. My first cousin.
Yes, so I'm going to find the link to the GoFundMe, and I'm going to personally put it on my page as well. I'm sharing it with the WBOK listening audience, and if they want to support, we can. I'm going to find out,
appreciate it.
Just in terms of like doing the right thing, if we can post it on the actual WBOK page. I'm going to find that out for you and tell you, but I will post it on my page where there's a good amount of folk who follow me as well. Because I think as a community, we got to be able to help each other, especially in these times. So, yeah. But I'll do that for you. I'll find the right link and post it for you.
It will.
Yes,
Y'all
sir.
got so much going on. I don't know, man. Is it any other cities in Louisiana got what's going on in our city? New Orleans?
Actually, yes.
It might be worse some places.
Yes. And there are multiple places. Here's my take on what the big difference is. Because
what is the reason for that?
I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to tell you what my take is on that. Because there are so many news deserts in the state of Louisiana, where there's no media entity covering a particular community, a portion of a parish, or a parish, a lot of people in the public have no idea what's going on because media is not paying attention. For us, like it or lump it, we have more media looking at more things, and the media that we have here can't get to everything. And then you have the media choices of what to focus on. So then those things are lifted up for media coverage and attention. And it doesn't mean these things aren't happening elsewhere. It means
Okay.
nobody's looking at it, or you have a community member. I'll give you an example. I lived in Grambling, Louisiana. There hardly ever was any media going to the city council meetings when I was there.
Oh, Lord.
Okay.
That's
There were community people there all the time, raising issues, asking questions, but it didn't get covered.
Well, also too, Pop. Let's be very, very clear. We pick and choose what we make news around here as well. Like that's a fact. We pick and choose what we put in the news
Not
because
y'all,
there are a
damn.
lot of things going on in the city of New Orleans.
Not y'all.
No,
Not
not
y'all,
us.
Dr.
Not
Wise.
us.
Them.
Not us. Absolutely. These major outlets, they pick and choose what they put in the
Exactly.
media. Because again, there are a lot of things, a number of things that I believe are relevant to the airwaves. So we try to bring those stories to the microphone.
Look how they lambaste the man all the time.
Yeah, there's
Never say
a
nothing
lot
good about
there's
her.
a lot we can talk about. And there's a lot that we can highlight, but a lot of things don't make headlines for whatever reason. So there's that as well. But Pop, I'm going to definitely
Look like it's a secret. All the money they're taking out of New Orleans, and bringing to other parts of Louisiana.
Yeah,
it's a secret.
Yeah, well, we got to keep
And
our eyes
nobody
on
here
it too,
seem
Pop.
to make anything. All the major events we have, they spend millions of dollars here in the city to fix up the city for these major events, and all the money go out the city to other parts of Louisiana.
And
the people in New Orleans don't benefit anything.
Yeah. And speaking of news that, you might not have heard of, there's a story we getting ready to talk about, Pop, and I hope you keep listening. But Jefferson Parish, two major credit rating agencies have withdrawn Jefferson Parish's top-notch bond rating. And I think that's a big deal. And it's like, it's just kind of like flying under the radar. Jefferson Parish loses its bond rating after failing to file multiple audits. And we're talking about the parish, which is led by Parish President Cynthia Lee Shane.
Yes.
And they have failed to file financial audits for 2023 and 2024, meaning the parish will have far more difficulty borrowing money for capital projects until it gets its financial house back in order. That's news,
that
right?
That seems odd to me because if you pass through the project, to Jefferson Parish, Metairie, and all those places, it look like a whole nother state almost. They got all the businesses, everything.
Yeah.
And Metairie.
Yeah.
So I would think they would be sawing.
Well,
that's
a bond rating is similar to a credit score. So right now, Jefferson Parish and their credit score is not what it used to be, and that is
is there a reason for that, Dr. Wise?
Well, I'm gonna tell you about it. I'm gonna get into the story. I hope you keep listening. And look, I promise you, I'm gonna get the particulars about this GoFundMe, and I'm gonna make certain that we get it posted for you. Okay?
Thank you very much.
No,
for
you're
taking
welcome,
my
Pop.
call.
Have a blessed one.
Y'all have a blessed one
you
too.
too.
All right, have a great day.
Did you hear about that, Will?
Absolutely.
Did you? Is that not news?
That is absolutely
because
news.
I can promise you, if that was going on right here in the city of New Orleans, everybody this would be on the tongue of every single podcaster, former sheriffs with microphones. You know what I mean? Talking that talk. Mm-hmm. Why are we not talking about the fact that two major credit rating agencies have withdrawn Jefferson Parish top-notch bond rating after officials failed to file financial audits for 2023 and 2024? Moody's and S&P Global Ratings yanked, that's not my word, that's an article, yanked the parish's rating in the spring after Parish President Cynthia Lee Shane's administration missed its 2023 audit deadline, according to the Louisiana Department of Treasury. A bond rating is similar to a credit score in that it indicates the financial position and reliability of a government to pay back its debts, said Louisiana Legislative Auditor Mike Wagaspack. Having a bond rating withdrawn isn't like a credit score dropping. It's as if the parish has no credit at all, which makes it more challenging to find investors willing to purchase bonds at reasonable interest rates. Now,
That's a big deal.
Cynthia Lee Shane, parish president Cynthia Lee Shane is the closest thing Jefferson Parish has to a mayor, because the parish has a parish president.
Right.
This is big, in my opinion. It says Lee Shane said the parish isn't scheduled to sell bonds in the foreseeable future, making the withdrawal less pressing if taxpayers were relying on an upcoming bond sale to fix roads or improve drainage. Look, I pay a lot of taxes. You get your bill and flip that thing over and see all of the money that's just being taken out of your pocket and you don't even know. I don't understand, how things like this can happen and folk just try to make us feel like it's not a big deal, because that's what that statement says to me. The parish president said it isn't scheduled to sell bonds in the foreseeable future, making the withdrawal less pressing. For a parish not to have any credit at all is pressing, because it said it's not like a credit score dropping. It's as if the parish has zero credit. That's not pressing.
That would be that'd be a big drop. That's like saying, okay, maybe you had a decent score at 660 or 700, and you dropped to 500, or you dropped to 4, or dropped to 0. Drop to 0.
Well,
that's what it sounds like.
This is what she said.
That's what it sounds like.
The parish president, Cynthia Lee Shane, said the parish's financial arm has struggled to keep up with the millions of dollars in emergency aid it's received from the COVID-19 pandemic and hurricanes Francine and Ida. She estimated that her administration had 15 times the amount of grant money to manage compared to years prior. That crush has exacerbated other structural issues like heavy turnover, insufficient protocols, outdated accounting software, and a national accountant shortage that's forced many municipalities in a similar position. This also is the first year the parish is managing an annual budget of over $1 billion. So there shouldn't be a dilapidated road. There shouldn't be any infrastructure issues going on in the parish of Jefferson. There's an annual budget of over $1 billion with the B, billion as in Bill Cosby, $1 billion. So what does this mean? Like, what does this mean?
Well, it means, for instance, if you're going out to buy a car and you have great credit, they want your business and they're going to give you a better rate and a better deal. As that number goes down, they're going to say, we want to do business, but we're going to have to charge you more.
This is why this is why I enjoy the WBOK listening audience, Will, because as you were talking, they're texting me, and one of our avid listeners who happens to have a brilliant mind, he said the suspension of a bond rating is very serious. They are blacklisted. Is that what it is? If they need to borrow for a hurricane emergency, they won't be able to get anyone to lend them a dime.
Yeah.
That's scary.
It is.
So how is our parish president making light of it by acting as if this is no big deal? It's not pressing, is what she said.
Laura Nicholson from Times Picayune talked with her. I did not, but based on what Laura published at NOLA.com, based on that conversation, the parish president is saying it's not pressing because we don't have that need now. But here's the thing. When you do have the need, especially if you can't anticipate the need, then you're in that situation and that's going to cost you more money or you can't get something done.
Listen, I also want to say that it says to dig itself out, meaning the parish. In June, they hired a consultant firm to reorganize and supplement the accounting department, as well as replace outdated accounting software to a more modern program, at all cost at the all-time cost of $5.7 million. So I often wonder if we wait until a problem like is forward-facing with us to actually put mechanisms in place to ensure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Because when did we discover that our accounting software wasn't modern enough to handle the fiscal responsibility of the parish? The consultants also are tasked with collecting the financial information. Another firm hired to complete the 2023 to 2025 audits for over $700,000. So consultants are making money around here. The 2023 audit is projected to be completed by the end of September and the 2024 audit by the end of the year. roughly 6 months overdue. The parish also moved its finance director to a new role as technical advisor to Lee Sheng in April and appointed Chief Administrative Assistant Victor LaRocha as interim. A permanent finance director will take over in August. All I'm asking is, how is the parish president framing this as if it's not a big deal? And what is the council saying, the Council of Jefferson? Because the at-large council member, Jennifer Van Franken, and if y'all remember her, Jennifer is the councilwoman that was donning the Trump dress. She had a gown on that had Trump 2024 all over it. I think that was the year. She called the bond rating withdrawal unprecedented, in quotation marks. Scott Walker, also an at-large council member, said the rating withdrawal was caused by a perfect storm and the administration needs to get past it as quickly as possible. You know.
Can we jump to the Inspector General? Because people hear about our Inspector General in Orleans Parish.
Yeah,
but Jefferson's Inspector
let's talk
General.
about it. We gotta hear a word from our sponsors really quickly. We're gonna take a quick break. Ken, Aaron, I see you. Don't go anywhere. Y'all keep listening. We're gonna keep talking. Will is gonna tell us about where the Inspector General fits into this equation right here. WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Today is a WDSU first warning weather alert day. Dangerous heat continues with highs in the upper 90s. We are under an extreme heat warning. We could feel all the way up to 115 degrees. Take breaks, drink plenty of water, stay in the shade. There is a slight chance for storms today, mainly for the afternoon, but a better chance for Wednesday, which will bring us some relief from the heat. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Are you passionate about community safety and police accountability? Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor. We're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Get the facts and stay informed. We're breaking down complex issues, highlighting community voices, and holding people behind the badge accountable. Join us for an informative hour every Friday at noon on WBOK. Your city, your police, your show. The Monitor's Mic.
Saints of God, it's time for us to tell you the truth. It's time for you to start your 21-day challenge. Don't take another day. Do it right now. Call 504-701-4711. That's the whole water stove, Pastor David Impartian Sr., the host of Change Your Water, Change Your Mind. This is the water that's designed to change your body, the way you think, the way you act, and the way you look. Why don't you start your 21-day challenge today? For $35, you can start it right now. Call me so we can set up your appointment. 504-701-4711. That's 504-701-4711. Change your water, change your mind.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Welcome to Liberty Bank and Trust, where your financial journey transforms communities. Since 1972, our customized banking solutions power your dreams and fuel your community growth. Every dollar you invest with us circles back to empower more people, ensuring opportunities for generations. Join us at Liberty Bank. Together, we empower possibility. Visit libertybank.net to start banking with purpose. Liberty Bank, there's freedom here.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
And we are back. Welcome back to the Good Morning Show. Happy Tuesday, everyone. I'm your host, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer. He's lost all of his interns, but he has not lost his ability to
Holding
make
it
certain
down.
that this show does what it is supposed to do. And shout out to my co-host, Will Sutton, who is
Good
also
morning.
in studio this morning. If you're just joining us and you want to join the conversation, the number is 504-582-9422. We were talking about Jefferson Parish losing its bond rating after failing to file multiple audits. And so Will, prior to the break, mentioned the auditor and not the auditor, the inspector general. But the state legislative auditor also said the withdrawal will remain on the parish credit history even after the rating is restored. So what is the inspector general saying?
The inspector general is drafting a letter to the council for failing to timely file annual financials for 3 consecutive years and submitting the 2022 audit 6 months late.
Well, what I want to say is prior to this withdrawal, Jefferson Parish maintained a rating of AA1 with Moody's, which is one of the best scores possible. So the withdrawal has put that rating in peril. And according to the legislative auditor, Wagaspack, who is the state legislative auditor, he said the withdrawal will remain on the parish credit history even after the rating is restored. So how is that not pressing? I just don't understand how how is the parish president allowed to just say, oh, it's really not that big of a deal? It sounds pretty serious to me. And you know, I'm curious as to why this feels like a quiet conversation. Good morning, Aaron. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning. Good morning.
How you
Thanks
doing?
for taking my call. I'm good. Y'all can hear me?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Yeah. First shouts out to the Fatherhood Roundtable as well as the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, Louisiana. Just like what your girl name is with the Nord Sea who come up with all that foolishness. What her name is? Canna Zero daughter.
Oh.
Yeah, her last
Say it
name.
again?
Yeah, Rodriguez is her actual last name.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Just like Rodriguez and her last name, Cynthia Shang, everybody know who her dad is, Harry Lee, who her daddy was. And Harry Lee been dead for 100 years, but yet the remnants of Harry Lee is still around, right? So we understand the cataclysms that we went through with her when we was fighting for those body cameras in Jefferson Parish, and her specific words was, her words was she's not going to get involved with the sheriff's business. Now here, people that's in your community that you're supposed to represent is getting lynched by this pig department, and your words was you're not going to get in the sheriff's business. So, certain people of certain demographics are able to scapegoat and do certain things and keep it quiet. And unfortunately, others of us, anything that we do is always going to be exploited and blown up, because they always take the least thing that we have to offer and give it maximum exposure. So to answer your question, Doc, which I know you already know it already, I know you just being modest, but that's why they're able to take in, with stories like this, able to keep things like this quiet. That's all I just want to
Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate you. Listen,
Yeah,
what
you're
I what my hope is that the councilman out of Jefferson Parish, who's also always availed himself to us, which is Mr. Byron Lee, I would love to have him add some nuance to this conversation, because I'm not understanding how all of the other folk in the article in their commentary seems to amplify the severity of losing a bond rating. And then our parish president is speaking as if it's not necessarily as pressing as the story makes it out to be. But why I say it feels like a quiet conversation is I don't hear anybody else talking about this. Do you?
Not yet. I think
I'm a resident. I don't know anybody else talking about this. I didn't know that the parish of Jefferson lost its bond rating. I did not know that. And so I think it's important to know, because I pay a lot of taxes, and I implore all of y'all, turn your bill over and look at what you pay for. And then you wonder and ask yourself, why are we so quiet about the things that matter? All your tax money is going to all of these entities. You have a right to have an opinion about them. You have a right to ask questions about them. And when I have questions, I go to the source. I go over there to the Yeni building, when I want to know something. I'm going over there to the council and the school board when I want to know something, because when I flip my bill over, you don't even know what you're paying for. And you have a right to ask. There's not any service that they're doing for you out the kindness of your heart. You're paying for it. So you have a right to ask questions. You have a right to be critical of a system if it's not working for you. And to have a parish lose its bond rating, and the fact that the withdrawal will still remain on the parish's credit history even after the rating is restored, to me sounds pressing.
Serious.
Yeah. Good morning, Ken. Welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Good morning, Doc. Hey, the bond rating was lowered to what? Because when they say it's been dropped, yeah, but like Will said, it's kind of like a credit score. It doesn't mean you can't borrow. It just means it costs more. And in terms of it being a big deal, it indeed is a big deal.
So, Ken, who pays the more? Who pays the more that it's going to cost?
Well, I mean, the people pay that.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I got a problem with this.
For the interest, for the rate on the bond, the rating being low, yeah, it costs more. It's a risk-based premium. So it's going to cost you more, no doubt. What I would say to you about it is this: they told you exactly how it happened. Instability in staff, not proper accounting software, and they got a whole lot of money, and they weren't prepared. Jefferson Parish basically has run the same way for the last 50 or so years. And within those years, what has occurred is that what has occurred within those 50 years is that they have not modernized, they have not stepped to the task. Because what you'll find is that those people have done careers that have done it the same way. Now you got an influx of COVID money, you got an influx of monies from Hurricane Ida, and there's very specific compliance that you have to have. Like with the COVID funds, I was still a city manager at the time. You had to say what you were going to do, how you were going to do it. There were a list of allowable activities, and we don't know what's going to happen with that. Now, I'm kind of surprised that what you do have is you have, multiple years before you have to turn in an audit. In the state of Maryland, where I was, I had to make sure that I turned in an audit yearly. And she's right about one thing. It's not the only community. I just interviewed for a job in Mississippi where they're 5 years back in their audit to be the city administrator. So, and that happens because at the top, you're not looking. If you don't have a CPA on staff as your chief financial officer and a number of very good clerks, if not other CPAs, it's going to be difficult for you to account for the number of activities that you have and the number of accounts that you have, because you have accounts, you have sub-accounts, you have all sorts of things that you have to make sure are reconciled monthly, and then you have to do the compliance if you have grants and or things to the state. And they're not an entitlement community where they get their money directly from HUD. Their money has to go through the state. The other part they have to worry about is the state cutting off funds and aid to them because they do not have their audits in place. So is it serious? Yes. Is it a big deal? Yes, it is. But who's going to, people are generally happy about the services they're getting, so they're not going to make a big brouhaha. And there's nobody trying to shoot slings and arrows because they want to change the form of government in Jefferson Parish. That's about where this lands at. But yes, it is serious, to your point.
Well, I appreciate you, Ken. We're up against a break, but I always appreciate you giving your commentary and making it make sense for us. So thank you for calling in this morning. We appreciate you.
Take it easy.
Have a good one. Look, we got to go to break, y'all. But there's so many stories that we have to talk about today, and I promise you we're going to get through them because we still have to talk to you about the update as it relates to the teacher who was accused of raping a teen boy. He was denied bond. We're going to talk about that story this morning. We will give you an update there, as well as there's a New Orleans real estate developer who has been charged with racketeering and criminal blight. There's a story there, but I know the story that everybody got on their thoughts and at the forefront of their conversations is this idea that there will be two trash companies on the streets of New Orleans at the same time doing the same work. How is that possible? We're gonna talk about it right here, and I hope you keep listening. But after we come from break, we're going to hear directly from Councilman Freddie King talking about the Young Men's Symposium and also this bike safety on St. Claude. Y'all keep listening right here. WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Football legend Deion Sanders says he's now cancer-free after undergoing surgery for bladder cancer. Sanders is urging others to get checked, noting the importance of early detection.
You have no idea how good God has been for me to be here.
Bladder cancer affects more men than women, with smoking as the leading risk factor. The gunman in the deadly 345 Park Avenue shooting left a note blaming football and CTE for his mental health struggles. Shane Tamura killed 4, including an NYPD officer, before taking his own life. The NFL headquarters was among his targets. And July is National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, spotlighting care gaps for Black, Hispanic, and Asian Americans. Dr. Tony Boulware, Stackhouse of Life Matters Wellness, urges culturally competent care to close disparities. Get BIN News Now, on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
New Schools for New Orleans, along with New Orleans Public Schools and the Cowell Institute, are excited to announce the launch of a new digital tool on the data dashboard. New Orleans Public Schools, 20 years later, a timeline of recovery, transformation, and growth. The tool provides data, information, and context on the past 20 years of K-12 education in New Orleans, the changes that occurred, and the outcomes these changes helped produce. Visit nolapublicschools.com/K20 to view the tool and learn more.
It's Off the Top with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230 AM.
There is a heated debate nationally and internationally about whether Israel is committing genocide in Palestine in the war against the terrorist group Hamas. I have no clarity on either side of the genocide question, but I'm damn certainly clear about what is not debatable: the intentional killing and starvation of innocent women and children at the hands of Israeli soldiers. Death and hunger in Gaza, according to the World Health Organization, is a man-made disaster since Israeli forces initiated a food aid blockade. Now, don't misunderstand my critique as opposition to Israel's right to defend itself against Hamas. It was Hamas who invaded Israel some 21 months ago in a despicable, barbaric attack, murdering 1,200 Israeli citizens and taking 250 hostages. Wiping out Hamas is totally justifiable. What is not justifiable is the heartless policy employed by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to order a food blockade against the starving, homeless Palestinian refugees who have been displaced because of the war. The United Nations says more than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces while seeking food aid since late May. Moreover, 2.1 million people are without ample food supply, which includes 900,000 children. Gaza officials report that some 70,000 children are already showing signs of malnutrition. There is no earthly justification under God's Son for such abysmal cruelty. Shame on Netanyahu, who continues to drag his feet on a possible ceasefire while his military leaders refuse to take accountability for the attacks at food distribution centers, insisting they only fired warning shots to keep Hamas at bay. Well, you can put me down in the I'm not convinced column on that explanation. As Big Daddy opined in the play Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, sounds like mendacity to me. Even some of Israel's closest allies are beginning to condemn what some human rights advocates are describing as using food deprivation as a weapon. While it may not be genocide, it damn sure is inhumane. This is Norman Robinson, Off the Top.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Shout out to my super producer, Nara Sanders. In the studio with me is my co-host, Will Sutton.
Good morning.
It is Tuesday, and we've been talking about a whole lot of things. And as we await the arrival of our councilman, Mr. Freddie King, we are going to talk to you about the update to the sanitation contract. I know that Mr. King, some of you want to know where he stands on the trash contract. He's made his stance very clear several times that he's been here, but like I promised, I'll ask him when he comes in. I'm certain he'll have a response for it. But as it stands right now, residents may see two companies doing similar work. French Quarter Management District Board Chair Jane Cooper said on Monday, I see the councilman, he's in the building. He's coming in. But for months, rival New Orleans trash hauling companies and their political allies have been at war over who has the right to keep streets and sideways clean in the historic French Quarter. On Monday, after the French Quarter Management District Board voted to fund an emergency contract for one of those firms, the showdown reached, I'm just trying to shake your hand because I can't get up and hug you because I'm in the middle of a story. Hey, nephew, how you doing? They reached a new peak as each company insisted its contract nullified the other, setting up the likelihood that both Ivy Waste and Hiven Consulting will deploy garbage trucks in the city's downtown area, ultimately at the cost of the taxpayer by the week's end. So, how did we get here? A judge affirmed the French Quarter Management District's right to move forward with their emergency contract, and a judge upheld the mayor's right to have Henry Consulting move forward in the capacity that she wished. I knew that this was going to happen because I kept saying, what's going to happen on July 31st? Are we going to have two people out there doing the same job? What I'm concerned about is not the men at the helm of this, because those men, in my opinion, will figure it out. They'll find a way. I'm worried about the workers, the people who cannot afford to not be at work, to not have a check coming in. I'm worried about if that is sustainable for the workers, because what I do know is the board voted to ensure Ivy Waste owner Sidney Torres will be paid $459,000 so his firm can continue hauling trash and spraying down streets in the French Quarter during the month of August, and that is $459,000 per month, according to what the report that I read. But we have our councilman here. How you doing, councilman? One of the questions, because they knew you were coming and they knew we were going to be talking about this contract, and I know you're here to talk about the Youth Men Symposium, but just could you take a moment to tell us your stance and where you are in terms of having both of these entities possibly on the streets of New Orleans at the same time doing the same work?
It makes sense to have both trash collection companies in the same area doing the same thing. It doesn't make sense. We should have one or the other. Ultimately, it's going to come down to the courts to decide. And once the courts decide, that's what it's going to be.
And
well, which court?
Well. I mean, it's a valid question because the two different judges gave similar rulings, but for two different entities. And so, I guess the plain question is, on the 31st, will we see Ivy Waste and Hero Consultant on the streets of New Orleans doing the same work? How is that even feasible?
Doc, I do not have the answer to that question. I don't know.
I don't either. I don't either. And I feared that this is the crossroad we were going to come to, because I kept asking, if we are allowing one entity to move forward and then a separate entity to move forward, but they're moving forward in separate directions, how is that going to be feasible for the city of New Orleans? And I do understand that the French Quarter Management District's choice is Ivy Waste, as is the choice of the council, because the thinking was, this is based on Senator Jimmy Harris's bill, that if the city and the mayor were still at odds about who owns the contract, then the emergency contract came into place to ensure that the trash would not have a stoppage in service.
Right.
Correct?
Well, I think it's important to also realize, to explain that the funds coming through the FQMD is coming from the state.
Right.
So a lot of people say, well, are the residents of the city going to pay for both? No, it's going to come from the state. Ultimately, the highest court, which is the Louisiana Supreme Court, if it gets to that level, will make the final decision. When that happens, no one really knows. But I don't want to see two trash companies in the French Quarter. That makes no sense.
So just for clarity, because maybe I misinterpreted what I read something that said that it would be coming from the state, but at some point there was the French Quarter Management District was looking for a reimbursement from not the taxpayers, right, or the city. Is that what I read?
I didn't read the article.
Yeah, it was something about, it would start off coming from the state, but at some point that the French Quarter Management District would be looking for a reimbursement. Who would that reimbursement come from? Would it come from the state or would it come from the city? Because when I hear city, I hear taxpayers. So I'm just trying to figure out who's footing the bill for this long term. Because in the interim, yeah, I understand it may be coming from the state, but if this is something that goes the distance, is the onus going to be on the city to then reimburse the French Quarter Management District? Do we know that just yet, or is that something we still have to wait to see how it plays out?
I don't believe in giving answers that I don't know the answer to.
I respect that response, because here's my thing. I don't know either, and I think it's troubling that we have a council person who always can figure out how to give us an answer. I think that talks to the severity of the issue, that nobody's clear on what's going on here.
There's a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
With this situation, it's a messy situation. There are a lot of competing interests. There are different judges. There are multiple different lawsuits. There are different contracts going out. So this is very hazy and cloudy for everyone involved. There's members of the administration who aren't aligned with the mayor. There's members of the council who aren't aligned with others. So it's just a lot, and everyone's confused.
And so Sidney Torres says nothing is going to change following the board vote. We're going to be working for the French Quarter Management District instead of the city of New Orleans. That's a quote from the emergency contractor, Sidney Torres. On Monday, Henry stood by his contract which a judge recently upheld, saying it should nullify any deal rendered by the French Quarter Management District. We have a fully executed valid contract in the city. It should render any FQMD contract null, void, and unnecessary according to the law. Henry has insisted his firm can provide services on par with Ivy Waste's popular approach. And so I don't know where we are still in this.
Let me ask this question, and certainly you're city council member. This is in your district. So my question is, with your legal expertise as an attorney, no matter which side you're on, there are still likely legal efforts that can happen between now and the end of the month, and any good attorney on either side is now looking at all of those options. So it's likely that we'll have additional developments, not just tomorrow or the next day, but in the coming days, all the way to that day.
Yeah, I think you're going to have this play out in court for the next few weeks, let alone the next few days, because there are multiple lawsuits in different courts in front of different judges. So many people are involved with this at this point, and that makes it even more cloudy.
So let me give you some context on the statement that I was making. The article says that means taxpayers will ultimately foot the bill for the board's August emergency contract with Torres. The board is paying upfront for those services with reserve funds, said Cooper, who's the chairperson. If the city fails to repay the board, the panel could seek state dollars to be made whole. And he also goes on to say, I think we can all agree that the current administration in the city of New Orleans is not going to reimburse the board for sanitation services performed by Ivy Waste. And that's according to Cooper, the chairperson. So that's what I was speaking about. Like I'm just concerned that we're gonna have these entities out there at the same time, and ultimately the taxpayers are gonna be on the hook for this bill. And this article did not note that it was per month, but they did put an editor's note that says the story was corrected to note that Torres' contract will pay him $459,000 per month. I knew it was per month because I read it prior, but this article said $459,000. They had to send an editor's note to add the per month part. So that's what I was talking about, Councilman, when I was saying, how is it going to affect the taxpayers? And again, I appreciate you giving us what you can, because it is a very muddy situation at this point.
I would add this, and I'm just you're talking about taxpayers' dollars.
Mm-hmm.
The question was asked, why is this emergency contract doing more work and it costs less than the awarded contract? And that should also be asked to the administration. I mean,
so and just to push back on it, right? What do you say to folk who say he's doing more for less, as you say, because he's trying to win the actual contract? So that has been a question here on the airwaves. If I know that I'm battling for a bigger contract and I have the ability to show what I can do right now, I'm going to go above and beyond because I'm trying to earn the full contract. What do you say to folks who feel that way?
I understand that. My answer to that is, hey, that's what we've been taught. Go the extra mile, to put your best foot forward. What I'm saying, within the four corners of the contract awarded to
Henry Consulting,
from this last one, the mayor is proposing, it is less. It's more money for less work. That's what I'm saying. So that's puzzling. That is puzzling to me and members of the community. Why is more money being given for less work when we're seeing what's being done already for less money?
Yeah.
Let me just ask a question related to national news coverage of the lemon scent.
Okay.
Am I correct that whether there's one trash provider or two, lemon scent will continue in this area, correct?
If Ivy Waste is doing the collection, whether in conjunction with Henry or alone, then you will continue to see that.
But isn't the lemon scent in the Henry contract?
I don't know.
I think it is.
Well, Mr. Henry, he says that that's a part of the contract. That's one of the things we asked him when he was here. He says that no matter what, the person who has the contract has to provide that lemon scent because it's inside of the document.
Okay. I didn't.
You don't know, but we're telling you that's what he said.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said that it's inside the document.
Look, I didn't come prepared to speak.
I got you. Listen, and now I want to be clear. I appreciate you answering because that was one of our listeners who asked me to ask you about the contract. Yeah. But can we just do a little adjusting, so that we can talk about the Young Men Symposium. And I didn't know that you were involved in bike safety on St. Claude. I didn't know that.
That's in District C.
I didn't know that you were doing that. I really didn't.
So talk about that real quick. There have been a couple of incidents on St. Claude, a couple of fatalities involving bicyclists and vehicles, and it's been happening for quite some time on St. Claude, for years. I've taken a bike ride on St. Claude with the group Bike Easy and saw how frightening it is to ride on St. Claude. You have people that park in the
bike lane.
The bike lanes. So you're kind of given at the split second. Do I go on the street? Or do I go on the sidewalk? The sidewalk is blocked. So I've seen how dangerous it could be to ride on St. Claude. We've met with DOTD. That's the state department over the street, because St. Claude is a state highway. So any any adjustments to St. Claude would have to come from the state. So we're going to have a meeting tomorrow night, 6 o'clock at the St. Rock Community Church with Dr. Bowie, who is the senator for that district, with Ms. Representative Candace Newell, who's the state rep for that district, and with a member of DOTD, Mr. Scott Boyle, to explain what's the steps moving forward, because we all know that St. Claude should have some type of safety mechanism as it relates to cyclists. The question is when, how much, and where along St. Claude would that go? Would you make St. Claude a one-way street to make it to have a bike lane only? Would you put it on the neutral ground? Would you take away parking? These are questions that the state was going to have to figure out to determine where and how the bike lane should be implemented on St. Claude.
And when is that meeting?
Tomorrow night at St. Rock Community Church.
I hate that it's tomorrow night, and only simply because we are in the middle of forums, and tomorrow night is Council District E.
Okay, that's a big one.
Yeah, that's a big one. Oh man, I'm gonna have to figure this one out, because I absolutely want to be in a space where we can understand what's going on with that initiative that you have going on, especially since Senator Bowie is going to be there. Yeah. But we do have Council District E's forum happening.
And look, St. Claude is a part of District E once you cross the Industrial Canal. So.
Yeah. Right. Well, what I'm saying is we're going to be close because it's happening at the TEP Center.
Okay.
The Council District meeting. So hopefully we'll be able to have someone there so we can know what's going on. But I'll be moderating that panel, so I can't morph into two people and be in two places. But I absolutely want to know what's going on as it relates to that, because it is very dangerous. I drive St. Claude often, especially because I do a lot of moderating for the New Orleans United Front. I have to be in that area.
That's right. That's right.
Going that way. But you also have a Young Men's Symposium, which I think is very important to also talk about.
Yes, that's at 9 o'clock today at the Basin Street Station. I have my son with me.
Who looks like he wants to get on the microphone. Say hello. Say hello, nephew. Yes, hello. You do. You touching the mic. You might as well speak it to the mic. Oh, now you're shy.
Yeah, he puts that shy role on. But, having him here is exactly why we're doing this. Mm-hmm. We're going to have men showing young men how to be men. I think that's the best way to figure out, how to navigate this life journey, is to see successful, productive men that look like you, that come from the same environment you come from, to explain to you the ins and outs and the pitfalls or how to avoid them as you become a man. Once we leave that, we're going to get our haircut. So I just think it's important to show my son and other young men in the community who may be lacking that father figure, what it looks like to be a man, because they often go to these false images of these false role models, the social medias, the entertainers, the people who are just doing it for $1, the people who are just doing it for clicks, and that's not realistic. That's not how you treat a woman. That's not how you treat a child. That's not how you protect your community. What I see on social media or I see on TV. So I think it's very important that we show these young men what a real man looks like, who goes to work every day, who takes care of his children, who takes care of his community. I don't invite the media there. One, the media is not really interested in covering something like that. And that's what I've realized. And two, I want them to have real conversations without the cameras in their face and be open and honest with one another and ask questions. So this is our 4th year doing it. It's not something that we're doing just because it's campaign season. This is something I really believe in. And I think it makes a big difference in these young men's lives.
And tell us where that is again and what time does it start?
It starts at 9 o'clock. It's at the Basin Street Station.
9 p.m.?
9 p.m., yes, in a couple minutes. In about 36 minutes.
9 a.m.
And it's at on the rooftop.
So it's at 9 a.m.
9 a.m. 9 a.m. I say p.m.?
You ain't woke yet.
9 a.m. 9 a.m., 36 minutes.
Yeah.
So it starts at 9 a.m. It's at the Basin Street Station. Do you have any guest speakers or anything like that?
We're going to have Judge Marcus DeLarge, again, just people from our community who are going to be here on a panel saying, look, this is how I became a judge. I went to school. I did this. I had some pitfalls. I made these mistakes. But just to let these young men know, this is how you become a man. We're going to have Mr. Michael Meredith. He is a part owner of VPG, a large construction company. He's a HBCU graduate who's married and who lives in the city and who is invested in the community. So I try not to get entertainers or athletes because that's not always a realistic goal to reach. Everybody isn't 6'5", everybody isn't fast or can sing or can dance. But I think everyone can go to work. Everyone can be a father. Everyone can be a productive male figure in the community. So that's what we're gonna do.
Well, we appreciate that. But the Inspired NOLA comedy show is coming up. And I know you remember being at that comedy show because
nice.
Everybody I tell, I was in the audience and you shocked me. I say, is that the councilman? And you got up there and you don't remember you getting up there strolling?
I don't stroll.
Yes, you did. You can say whatever you want.
We don't stroll. We don't stroll.
You did. So when you was hopping, let's put the right
I want to know Megan don't stroll.
You were throwing up the don't play in my face because I was in the audience.
Look, it never leaves you. It just sometimes suppressed. And when you hear the music, you know that the shoulders get
Let me
the
tell you
rolling.
something. I was in the audience and I recognized everybody else and I knew what they were going to do. But I said, is that the councilman? I saw you slowly walking up. I said, I know he's not about to.
No.
Is he?
It was
he
just.
is. You shocked me.
It was for like 3 seconds. One of my knees won't allow me to do it like I used to, and it never goes away, Doc. It's just.
So the question is, will you get on the stage this year at the comedy show and show us your organizational
but here's what I hear.
Steps.
Here's what I hear. It is not planned, and I do not plan, but sometimes
never
a
planned.
spontaneous something happens.
That's always
and
on
you can't help yourself.
All I'm saying is, don't let the quiet stuff fool you. He was up there cutting the rug, and I was in the audience. You can try to rewrite that all you want. I saw it with my own eyes.
I'm 40 years old now, and I've been a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated more than half my life, and you can't just put that away. It stays with you.
And you was up there throwing up the hooks, and
you know.
Yes, you were.
And we also, wanted to mention the reboot.
Okay.
If you have time.
Yeah.
So that is going to be this Saturday at Kids for Good on General Meyer. We noticed St. Mary's over on the West Bank. And it's going to be a back-to-school giveaway from 2 to 4. And following that, myself with NOLA Grown and other community partners, Algiers President's Council, Jugs Social Club, we're going to do our 4th installment of the gun exchange. So it's not a typical gun buyback where you walk up with a gun, you get a gift card. We're going to have people walk up with guns. And in return, they're going to get either a PlayStation, they're going to get an Xbox.
It's tiered. I saw it.
It's tiered because
so the bigger the weapon, the bigger the prize.
Some people have found a way to get over and bring a pea shooter and walk away with a $500 Xbox or PlayStation. So we're going to tier. You bring in a shotgun, you make it a video game gift card, or you make it an accessory to the video game. You bring in a automatic rifle like I don't know, AR-15, or we had an SKS one time come in. That's going to give you that large console, that PlayStation 5. I think we're on now. I'm so removed from that.
Yeah.
You'd be bringing a handgun. You get a virtual reality Oculus headset. So it's going to be
that's
tiered.
Pretty cool.
It's going to be tiered.
It is
this
very
Saturday.
much tiered. Yeah. And
so,
I'm going to continue to talk about that as all week because I think it's important. And again, the bigger the weapon, the bigger the prize.
Exactly.
And it's a phenomenal way to help try to make our streets safer and also give the kids an alternative to actually playing around with weapons.
Yes.
We have to go to break, but we appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having
Councilman,
me.
We had the Youth Men's Symposium, which is happening at 9 a.m. Not p.m.
31
9
minutes.
a.m. in 30 minutes. And that is happening.
Basin Street Station.
And then the bike safety meeting with Dr. Bowie is taking place
tomorrow night, St. Roch Church, starting at 6 o'clock. We're going to have representatives from DOTD, State Representative Candace Newell, and State Senator Joseph Bowie, Dr. Joseph Bowie, representing the community there as well.
And the reboot is taking place
Saturday, it's August 2nd, Algiers on General Meyer. I'm going to get that exact location. That's going to be at 3518 General Meyer Avenue at Kids for Good.
And what's the start time for that? 2
Well,
p.m.
the back to school giveaway is at 2:00. That's
Okay.
also going to be a 2K tournament at the same time as the school giveaway. But the actual gun exchange, not a gun buyback, the gun exchange is going to start at 4:00. Get there early because the lines are long for that, and it's first come first serve, and it's these councils aren't cheap, so we have a limited supply. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Councilman. And thank you for also trying your best to walk us through this sanitation dispute. We appreciate you being here.
Absolutely.
We got to go to break, but we want to give a shout out to our Councilman Freddie King for availing himself. He's pulling dual duty right now. Councilman, father, community person. He's all over the place, all the things. Thank you for being here, sir. We got to go to break. When we come back, we're going to continue to talk about it. We got to bring you a couple more updates right here. WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
I'm David Patan Sr., owner of Whole Water and Food Over Medicine Academy, coach, consultant, and instructor. We're excited about our 21-day challenge. Stop, prevent, and reverse disease today. Cholesterol, diabetes type 2, high blood pressure, along with chronic illnesses and diseases. We believe that the gift of wellness is the greatest gift, and for $30 per month, $1 a day, you could have this gift for you and your family.
I'm Phyllis Washington, and I've benefited with health and weight loss.
For your gift of $30, healing and wellness can be yours. Call 504-701-4711. That's 504-701-4711. The Whole Water Store. See you at 2135 Washington Avenue today.
Good Tuesday morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. A former choir teacher accused of sex trafficking will remain behind bars. In court yesterday, Joshua Kegler was deemed a flight risk and was ordered to stay in custody without the possibility of bond. Prosecutors say that 5 of the 12 counts he's facing could lead to life in prison if convicted, but Kegler's attorney cited her client's ties to the community as a defense. Some taxpayers could soon be footing the bill for multiple trash collectors in the French Quarter. This comes as the French Quarter Management District voted yesterday to keep Ivy Waste as the trash collector through December, even though the city says collection services will transition to Henry Consulting as of Friday. Meanwhile, some business owners and residents filed a preliminary injunction that is still being reviewed by the state Supreme Court. A New Orleans City Council candidate is officially out of the race. The clerk of court says Kevin Griffin Clark was disqualified from running for the District D council seat for reportedly not submitting an appeal. Griffin Clark's candidacy was initially questioned over discrepancies on his tax returns. He was one of 4 candidates who face removal from the ballot in Orleans Parish ahead of the October 11th election. And today you get a chance to meet the candidates for Orleans Parish Sheriff. 6 candidates are running, including Sheriff Susan Hudson. It's happening at Blessed Trinity Church on Broad Street. That's starting at 5 p.m. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Stay cool. It's going to be a hot one. Have a great day.
Feeling stuck in your job? Dreaming of something more? It only takes one step to change everything. With the Urban League of Louisiana Skill Up Louisiana, you can train for high-paying careers in wind, solar, hydrogen energy, automotive, cybersecurity, AI, and more. This isn't a job, it's your future. A new career starts with one step. Your future is waiting. Visit urbanleaguela.org/apprenticeships to learn more and apply today.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
when the guests say I don't have nowhere to go.
Oh, he got somewhere to
I
go.
can stay
He's
for
just taking a few more minutes. Taking a few more
I
minutes.
can stay for a few more minutes
Yeah.
because I'm certain that the folk in the chat are cutting up. So I'm gonna go visit the chat while Will asks.
Yeah, he's not going to
the question
disappoint those young men.
he was getting ready to
he's
throw
going to be out of here.
to the councilman. Go ahead, Will.
All right, so we got all this talk about the French Quarter, but that district, that service district, includes the CBD. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, so the French Quarter Management District has the emergency contract ready to go for the end of the month with IV Waste, but that covers the French Quarter. It doesn't cover the CBD.
Correct.
So who currently handles trash in the CBD and who will pick up trash at the end of the month?
Currently, Henry Consulting is doing trash pickup in the CBD. If anything changes, I was told that the city will step up and do the best they can to continue that service in the CBD.
Okay. So that is not tied to the multiple emergency contracts that I understand are for the French Quarter and not the district.
Look, I govern District C and the French Quarter. Service Area 5 is the French Quarter and a bit of the CBD.
Right.
So that has always been a question, what's going to happen with the CBD and just as I stated a few seconds ago, from my understanding, the city sanitation service will have to step up to make sure the CBD isn't left hanging without a sanitation provider.
Okay.
And for me, a lot of folk in the chat are engaging about how this all started. We were just talking off air about how it started. And for those of you who have lost the plot like I did, the plot is lost at this point. It's important to know that in the initiation of this was supposed to be a deal between Mr. Henry and what's the other gentleman's name?
Mr. Richards.
Mr. Richard. And Mr. Richard, and correct me if I'm wrong, Councilman, was not happy with whatever the agreement was supposed to be between he and Mr. Henry, which is why Mr. Richard ultimately went to the city council searching for some level of reprieve between he and Mr. Henry. So for a lot of folk don't know that that's how it started. The council didn't go to Mr. Richard. Mr. Richard went to the council looking for some assistance because negotiations or a deal had not been able to come to fruition between those two parties while they were trying to work it out amongst themselves. And so Mr. Richard went to the city council trying to find a resolution or some sort of assistance in finding a resolve between he and Mr. Henry.
Yeah.
Is that how you understand that initial dispute to be?
That is how I understand it. Look, I was in the hallway speaking to the sanitation director. He said, "Hey, just so you know, Henry Consulting has won the sanitation contract for the French Quarter." I was like, "Man, this is great. We got a black-owned local company that's going to take the contract." I was over the moon. Then to hear that Richard's disposal going to be the DB, I'm like, man, this is
sounds like a match made in heaven.
Exactly. And then started getting calls and just people saying, "Hey, I'm hearing this, I'm hearing that," and sure enough, we was reached out to by representative from Richards, and they were saying, "Hey, we don't feel like the negotiations are going the way we intended for them to go." There were some agreements made, some gentleman handshakes, some meeting of the minds, and now that's being backed out of. And we've invested millions in trucks and equipment because of the understanding that Henry and Richard had. And the council became aware of that and realized that, okay, the contract that was going to Richard, which was stated on the the score sheet when he was tallying up who should get this contract, Richard was listed as a DBE, and then we found out that the DBE was no longer on paper Richard. It was I believe Clean Force, which is a white female, still a DBE company out of Metairie, who does not own trucks. And that company would then sub their subcontract to a white male owned business in North Louisiana who did have trucks. So pretty much we're now circumventing the DBE rule.
So can we pause there? Because I think it's important to note that when all of this happened, that meant at this juncture, Mr. Richard was no longer in the equation.
He was out of the equation. It became an issue of how many houses was going to be counted, because in the quarter you have a lot of apartments. A lot of those apartments are empty or have less. The tenants may be gone for the summer or maybe gone for the winter. So it became a question: is it going to be per house or maybe like a set number? And if that's the case, are you going to do it for this amount? So it basically was a question of how many houses we were going to count and how much money was going to be paid to the DBE. That number that was initially agreed upon wasn't the number at the end. And that's when you got Richards out of the picture and enter Clean Force, and then enter this company in North Louisiana, who I can't remember the name, but it really just circumvented the whole spirit of the DBE process.
So from the purview of the council, and I know you can only speak from your seat, but do you feel like the council will be engaging in this now it feels like a debacle to me now, right? For lack of a better word. If Mr. Henry and Mr. Richard had figured out a way to create a negotiation or a deal, they brokered that deal, do you believe we would be here now if those two men had been able to reach an agreement that precluded Mr. Richard from reaching out to the council for assistance?
Absolutely. The council would not be involved in this, because I think everyone on the council was over the moon when they heard that we have two local Black-owned businesses who are going to be making some substantial money doing work in the French Quarter. That's like the crown jewel, not just of the city, the French Quarter, but that contract is the crown jewel of sanitation contracts. And I even went against some of my colleagues and gave them, those two companies, an extra week to figure it out. Call who you got to call, have those closed door meetings. And some of my colleagues was like, nah, we need to move forward. But I did everything that I could to not get to this point. Couldn't get to this. We couldn't agree, or they couldn't agree, and here we are now.
So what do you say to Mr. Henry, whose response is that he and Mr. Richard have worked it out now, and that's not a part of the argument anymore? We shouldn't still be talking about how we got here, because how we got here, that part has been resolved. But the issue is that because it wasn't resolved, it opened up conversations that I believe probably we wouldn't be having had they agreed to a deal. But now that those conversations have been opened up, it's hard to close them, because now there are more questions
It's hard
than
to
answers.
put that genie back in the bottle. So we had that meeting last week, and a whole bunch of questions came out, a whole bunch of inconsistencies amongst members of the administration, saying they don't agree with the Cantrell administration with moving forward with Henry Consulting. So when you have your top brass saying, don't do this, or I wasn't in the room when this decision was made, man, there's so much
Wait,
confusion
Councilman.
now.
Let me be clear if I heard that right. You're saying there are members inside of the mayor's own administration who are now saying that they don't agree with Mr. Henry being awarded the contract, even though that's what the mayor is insisting?
This emergency contract.
The emergency contract, not the full contract.
We didn't talk about the full
You
contract.
talked about
We're talking
I just want to
about
be
the
clear, because
emergency contract.
folk will take the 3 seconds and they won't listen for the context around it. So you're saying that there are members in the Cantrell administration who don't believe in the emergency contract, because Ivy Waste initially had the emergency contract, and then the mayor came with an emergency contract for Henry Consultant.
Right there.
You're saying there are people who don't believe in the emergency contract for Henry.
There are members of the Cantrell administration who all went on record last week. People can pull up that footage, who said they believe
this happened at a council meeting.
Yes, it did.
A committee meeting.
Okay.
But the full council was there, and they did not believe that the city should move. It was in the best interest of the city and the French Quarter to move forward with Henry Consulting with the emergency contract. They, although we didn't speak about this last week, there were some of them who also said that the first contract with IV Waste should just remain throughout the year and let it play out. But we specifically talked about the contract, the new emergency contract with Henry, and they have some reservations about Henry Consulting being awarded that contract.
But this is my last question, because I know you have to go. You have to get ready for your youth symposium event that is happening in about 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But as we stand now, Henry Consulting as an emergency contractor and Ivy Waste as an emergency contractor will both be in the French Quarter as of the 31st?
As of right now, yes. Both companies feel they have legal standing, and it's going to come up to a court to say who actually wins. But
and
right
from
now,
the standpoint of Henry, his full contract is supposed to commence on the 31st, correct? The big one. That's supposed to be the initial date.
I believe that is, the 31st is going to be his emergency contract.
Okay.
That is, again, this came out the last meeting. That's like $2.5 million more than Torres's emergency contract, which also raised more red flags. So there's a whole bunch of red flags. There's more questions.
But red
than
flags
answers.
aside, there are two contractors who have been awarded the ability to service that area at the same time.
Yes.
And barring a decision from the Supreme Court, that is the reality of our trash sanitation contract as it stands today.
As it stands at 848, yes.
I appreciate you, Councilman. I promise you, I feel like we had a whole conversation and the plot still escapes me. But I appreciate you stepping up to bat and giving it your best shot. Shout out to Councilman Freddie King, who's headed to his youth symposium taking place in about 15 minutes. We got to go to break, but when we come back, we'll give y'all those updates right here, WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Today is a WDSU first warning weather alert day. Dangerous heat continues with highs in the upper 90s. We are under an extreme heat warning. We could feel all the way up to 115 degrees. Take breaks, drink plenty of water, stay in the shade. There is a slight chance for storms today, mainly for the afternoon, but a better chance for Wednesday, which will bring us some relief from the heat. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Hi, I'm Leo Jackson, host of Sunday Gospel here every Sunday morning, 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. and 12 o'clock till 2 p.m. You don't want to miss this move of God. It happens only on WBOK. You listen to all day long.
Welcome to Chemical of the Month by the community scientists at Rise St. James. This month, we spotlight phthalates, chemicals added to plastics, especially PVC, to make them more flexible and durable. But there's more. Research shows phthalates may disrupt hormones, affect reproductive health, and contribute to environmental pollution impacting our communities. Join us as we explore how these additives shape our everyday lives and the world around us. For more details, visit risestjames.org. Empower your knowledge with Rise.
Hey, New Orleans, look for important changes to your natural gas service. This summer, Delta Utilities takes over for Entergy Gas with a Louisiana-born, Louisiana-based approach to safe, clean, reliable natural gas. No interruptions or rate changes due to the transition, just dependable service and modernized technology to keep you running smoothly. Get to know us at deltautilities.com and stay tuned for more later this summer. Delta Utilities, focused on natural gas, committed to New Orleans.
Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Brian Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
Director Ashanta Wyatt. Shout out to my super producer and our super producer in training. My niece is in the building. She has made it. And if you don't know who she is, I'm certain that you'll learn on the front porch because she holds it down on the front porch. I don't know. She don't show me no love on the Good Morning Show, but I ain't going to hold it against her. I'm going to take that out with her mama. And my co-host Will Sutton is also in studio this morning. Shout out to our our councilman Freddie King for joining us and giving us the updates to the best of his knowledge as it relates to the sanitation contract. But we owe you a couple updates, and we want to talk to you about them. The New Orleans choir director accused of raping a teen boy, he was denied bond. The court records say we are talking about Joshua Kegler, a well-known New Orleans gospel singer and former choir teacher who's been accused of grooming and raping a teenage boy, will remain jailed without bond after a hearing in court on Monday. Josh is 38 years old. He appeared in magistrate court on a handful of sexual abuse charges he faces in two separate cases. He was ordered held without bond in both cases, according to court records. Kegler, who has worked as a choir teacher at several local high schools and is known for his gospel group, Josh Kegler and the Harmonistic Praise Crusade, was initially arrested on July 22nd and booked into the Orleans Parish Jail on 5 counts of trafficking a child for sexual purposes, 5 counts of indecent behavior with a juvenile, 1 count of third-degree rape, and 1 count of sexual battery. I take no pleasure in reporting on this story, but it is in the news, and we're going to talk about it because the very first question that I have in the front of my mind is, why was he separated from the 2 schools he worked at prior? Because if there were any allegations, anything that could inform us into what his behavior was at his previous schools, it might have not been able to make it to the 3rd school. We are mandated reporters. I am really worried about why he separated from those schools. That's my question. I want to know. And I really don't care how you feel about it, because we're talking about the protection of children. If you want to boil my blood, let's talk about disservice in kids. And there you will find me. I have a great deal of respect for who Josh is as an artist and for what he does in his craft. But that aside, holds no weight to me when we're talking about the allegation of sexual abuse of kids. And yes, it's an allegation. He is innocent until proven guilty. But I cannot sidestep the idea of the mom finding inappropriate text messages in her son's phone. If you can explain that to me and make it make sense, I don't even care to have a conversation with you. Because again, Will Sutton, we talked about this. Uber ride aside, maybe he needed a ride, but an Uber ride to your house, you would have to explain that to me, right? Giving me a Cash App, maybe I was hungry. That don't move me. But a Cash App and then an Uber ride to your home and then these text messages all come together, then I'm concerned. I'm worried. And according to the mother of a 16-year-old boy, Josh is accused of sexting her son, according to the affidavit. And sexting means she found sexually explicit conversations in her son's phone. We cannot excuse that away. I am not going to excuse that away. I want to understand how we can stand in defense of a person because we like them or because we know them, because we went to church with them, when the evidence is that there is inappropriate behavior between this individual and a child. The age of consent in the state of Louisiana is not 16. So miss me with that. I pray for the best outcome for all people involved, but I'm reporting the news as it has been reported. And according to the mother, she discovered sexually explicit commentary between her 16-year-old child and Josh Kegler. Right, Will?
That's correct.
So for me...
And there's another case.
There's another case, Will?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. According to the report, there was a separate situation. So that's moving through the courts as well. So we need some clarity on that.
Listen, well, the update is he was denied bond. And it really gives me pause. Like, it really makes me, our babies are not safe. They're just not. They're just not. And when we entrust them to people who we feel like can keep them safe and they betray that safety, it hurts deeper on another level. But I'm going to tell you, like I told you the last time we talked about this story, the mother went to the police. The police would have been coming for me because I'm not built like that. I'm not built like that. If there's a lick to be taken, I'm going to take it. I'm not about to let you do something like this to my baby and I just let the laws. Nah. No, sir. No how. What you say, John? We got about a minute.
Good morning, good people.
How you doing?
You know, I'm doing okay. If you look at this is pushed all through the society. Now, I don't know the backgrounds of those young men, but 9 times out of 10, they're probably single parent, primarily a mother, didn't have male guidance, but yet we got a former ex-president talking about all boys should have a gay mentor. You know, this stuff is pushed too much in this society. I'm like this here. If I have children, I'm going to raise them according to my worldview, okay? Now, when they become of age of emancipation, if they decide to go in a different direction, then that's what it is. But as long as they're under my authority, they're going to be raised in my worldview, okay? But, you know, Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, I'm going to tell you straight, if your ears to the street, their cuteness is done worn off now. You had 8 years, you didn't do nothing but for black folks directly. You know, it's always something that benefited everybody, but other groups got their individual, you know, things met to a certain degree. So it's like their cuteness is worn off. Nobody's listening to them anymore. Especially the generation
John,
40 and under, their cuteness is gone.
Look, I appreciate your commentary. You know we got to go, but I want to stick to what we're talking about here. I think there is something to be said about the way black children specifically are not protected in the black city of New Orleans, and there's so much black leadership around them. That's what I want to talk about. We owe it to our children to protect them at all costs. And I'm not sidestepping this conversation for nobody's personal relationship with this person or how well you think you know them. Because what I do know and what I have learned is we think we know people and we don't know. Everybody has a private part of themselves that they do not show to the world. But what I could assure you is this. Anybody that could justify the sexual exploitation of a child is not a person that I want to know anything about. I don't want to be friends with you. I don't even want to associate with you. I'm not dealing with that. But it's being pushed in
society. It's being pushed like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah,
They're trying to legalize pedophilia. They really are.
Well, we won't do it on our watch, not at WBOK. I appreciate you, John. Thank you
so
much.
Love you.
Absolutely. Look, I'm having a hard time with this because like I tried to express to y'all, there are a lot of people that I know by way of the work that I do in this community and by way of being an educator. And a lot of folk are on social media and in my purview justifying this or trying to excuse this or trying to minimize this. And I'm just not going to let it happen because until it's your baby, you don't understand the sting of this. This is something, a breach of trust is very hard to reconcile when you put your baby in the hands of somebody that misused them. That is hard for me to get past. And I don't pretend to think that only people with children can have an opinion about these things. But when you are a parent, it hits you vastly different because we all entrust our babies to other people when we send them to school, when we send them to choir practice, when we send them to track practice. We're all saying, I trust this individual to look after my baby. And if you send a text message to my son's phone that I deem to be sexting, I'm not going to ask the police to come get you. I'm going to call the police to come get me because I'm going to deal with you, and I mean that with every fiber of my being. We have to protect our children at all costs. Y'all stay tuned. Up next for The Front Porch, we're Graylin and Kimber. As far as the Good Morning Show, Dr. Ashanta Wyatt, my super producer, Nyron Sanders, and my co-host, Will Sutton. We going to see y'all tomorrow, but let me remind you, there is a forum happening tonight. A Sheriff Forum is happening tonight at the Blessed Trinity Church. I will moderate it. It is being hosted by Step Up Louisiana. The doors open at 5. The forum starts at 5:30. I hope to see you there. Y'all, be kind to each other. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.